Here we are again, Main Street Randyland YouTube channel, hooray! I know you subscribed already, I'm not going to tell you, but if you didn't, press the button. Hey, you know what? We're over here at Randyland again, showing you some more of the hidden treasures deep within the bowels of Randyland. And such wonderful stuff. Behind me here, you might notice a collection of flowers and tiki gods, and some of you might recognize that is the world famous Enchanted Tiki Room, the tropical serenade in Adventureland at Walt Disney World. The Tiki Room was Walt Disney's first audio animatronic show. He really loved the show. It's a very traditional show. Still runs today, although they have shortened it. It's not exactly the same. Those of us who know the show word for word still enjoy it, but it's a little hard when they make those cuts and the magic enchanted fountain isn't there and Offenbach, but it's still there for you to see. So this is my collection of my Tiki Room over there, and of course we have our Tiki God drummers from the back, you know, bloom, 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 bloom. Now, those flowers you see there, and the rubber plant over in the corner, and there's a couple of rubber plants underneath and all these things. Those plastic flowers actually had their day at Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. Now, periodically, they will refurbish attractions, and they'll put in all new plants and flowers so it has a fresh new look. And of course, who wants old flowers and rubber tree plants? I mean, who would want such a thing? Me, I do. So of course, I had to gather them up, and here they are. Oh, look, one of my Randy heads fell off the platform. There's supposed to be 3 heads there, and one of them fell off. So we'll have to, climb up there and fix that. But that's my memories of my Tiki Room. And of course, we have Jose standing there. You know Jose. Jose, wake up, you lazy bird. It's showtime. Buenos dias, señoritas. My siestas are getting shorter and shorter. Oh, look at all the people, and welcome to Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. Hey, Michael, mi amigo, pay attention, it's showtime. So it is. What darling people have sitting under me. You Pierre, you rescue you. Let's put on the show. Mon ami, I am always ready, as you say, to put on the show. Oh, put on, madame. That was only for my good friend Fritz. Ach, Hulim, I almost fell out of my lumber perch. I'm glad to see you all aboard, or ashore, or wherever you are. My, you're all staring at us. We better start the show rolling. Wait, we got to wake up the Glee Club. And then the lights would come up and we'd all sing in the Tiki Room. But this is the Tiki Room, my Tiki Room, my love of the Tiki Room. And what is this guy sitting over here in the Tiki Room? He's not in a Tiki Room costume. He's in a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea costume. He's from Captain Nemo. So we have to save space wherever we can here in the wonderful world of Randy. So above my Tiki Room display, we have my 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea display. And these are actual fish that were underwater as you would ride by in the Nautilus at 20,000 leagues under the sea. And you would see those fish floating by. And the costume is the authentic costume that the ship captain would wear and the mates on the dock. And he's wearing his jacket because it must have been a colder day, but it's a complete costume. His hat is under his hand, and you'll have to zoom in there in order so you can see the hat and his emblem. But that's Randy Al 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. There's all these fond memories that I have living the dreams of not only being a guest, but the cast member who was so in love with Walt Disney World and the way things were and will always be in my heart. So below, you see actually a couple really interesting things. Look at that. Horse cars, one way to Cinderella Castle. That's from the street sign right there on Town Square. And if you look closely, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, the shading of background color of brown actually changes under the word horse cars. And you'll see that it gets a little bit different color with a line where it says one way to Cinderella Castle. And that's for a reason. That's the original sign that used to read horse cars, one way to Cinderella Castle, 10 cents or an A ticket. That's when they used to collect A, B, C, D, E tickets, or a dime for an A ticket instead. So when they stopped doing the ticket collection and it was all included in one price, rather than making new signs, they made an overlay and they put it on the bottom so it simply read "One Way to Cinderella Castle." So they've replaced the signs since. They're a little more fancy with a Main Street decor, but that's the original sign from Horse Cars, "One Way to Cinderella Castle." And of course, we have my very own parade crosswalk sign. What would a Randy collection be, considering Randy was Main Street operations at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, and we did all parade control? What would be a Randy collection without your very own parade crosswalk sign? Of course, you have to have one, two-sided, of course. So a little bit to the left, you see Tencennial. That's the Big 10. Right now, they're celebrating 50 years at Walt Disney World. But those signs were on the lampposts up and down Main Street when they were celebrating 10 years old. Can you imagine that? 10 years, now we're at 50. Well, lampposts were really big with signage for Walt Disney World. They would always use them for their festivities to dress up whatever celebration they're doing. There's always some reason to celebrate. But before they had the 10-year celebration, they had the bicentennial year celebration. Can you believe that? Because America was 200 years old with 1976. So when Walt Disney World was only 5 years old, the street signs didn't celebrate being 5 years old. They celebrated the bicentennial of Walt Disney World. 1776, 1976, it was the bicentennial of our country, not just Walt Disney World, 200 years, and they had the America on Parade for the big parade feature of the bicentennial year at the Magic Kingdom. So these are street signs that were from 1975 into 1976 for the bicentennial celebration. There's some more of them over there in the background, and you can see those shields, and they were on the street lampposts up and down Main Street, USA. So to go along with my lamppost street sign collection, we have to sneak our way over here. And up we go into the fun land as we slip on by the more amazing things. Oh, as we pass by here, here's Monorail Randy. Do you remember when the monorails were the original monorails with the doors that opened with a click and all the doors would open and they had to close each door by hand? Well, the monorail operators wore blue and lime green. That's what they wore. Now, this was actually a second generation for them. The original was a full jumpsuit that had really no seam in the middle, but then they switched to pants and a shirt, and they are actually separate. But originally it was a jumpsuit, and then of course the jacket that not everybody has. But you know, I'm looking around. I'll be very upset if I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Wait. The monorail helmet, the Covenant monorail helmet that only pilots could have. There's Randy's monorail helmet pilot hat, complete with monorail wings, because that's the monorail pilot hat. So we have to have one of those to go with Randy Monorail. Now, getting back to my street signs, because there's always something good along the way, here we have a nice array of street signs. We were talking about the Tencennial sign. We forgot to walk in the other direction. I could have showed you the 15 years sign, and we'll have our editing host pop that into the picture. Pop. Then we go to our 20 years, of course, and over here we have 25 years. And you know what? I wasn't down there as much, so I didn't get my hands on a 30 or a 35, but I did get Mickey's Birthday Land. Look at that. That was a very coveted sign. You know, they started at Mickey's Birthday Land, and they made a big deal of it on the Walt Disney World Steam Railroad system, because they made it so you were taking the train to go to Birthday Land. Yeah, you can walk to it also by going over where 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea used to be, over to the side and go over to Birthday Land. And they created a train station itself over at Birthday Land, but they actually made a big deal of taking the train from Main Street all the way around to get off at Birthday Land. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. We're on our way to Mickey's Birthday Land. We're gonna have a fun at Birthday Land. I don't remember the song perfectly, but let me tell you, I heard it enough times. And that was just after I was only returning off season. I had already left my permanent status there, and I was going back during the winter time after I closed Fascination, and I had to fill in on the train for Birthdayland. And you know what was really, really disheartening to me? They did away with the live announcements on the steam train. I mean, when I worked steam train, and again, it was not my favorite attraction because I didn't like to be stuck to a rotation of the train. I liked the freedom of being on Main Street. But being a permanent Main Street operator, I had to learn how to do steam train so I could fill in there and also take care of that when necessary. So I knew the spiel. I would give the spiel, and there's a YouTube episode, actually 2 of them, of the Randy spiel from the 80s when we did them live.
Please remember there is no eating, drinking, smoking, break dancing, cartwheeling, acrobatics, fishing, or snowball fighting permitted on board. And for your own safety, please remain seated at all times, keeping all those hands, arms, legs, and desirable children safely aboard.
But now they put in a sampler system. So the conductor had a switchboard of, I think there were 6 and 6. There were 12 buttons, as I recall. And each button you pressed started an electronic recording of the section of the soundtrack that you were going to play for the next part of the track. Because the train ran at different speeds, the operator was actually controlling when the section would start with the next audio. And it had music, and we were all going to Birthdayland, and da-da-da-da-da-da. That was the beginning of it. So Birthdayland was, I came back into shock to see that we were no longer giving live announcements other than all aboard, people keep your hands and legs inside, and then we would press the button and we just rode along, and then we would see we're at the next position and we'd press the next button, and if it was too soon, we'd have to press stop and then start for the next section because we'd have to end the audio that was playing on that track and then go to the next track and this, that, and the other. It took the fun out of it. It took the fun and the personality out of it because now every ride was basically the same. They didn't vary too much other than a cutoff of a track and all things of this nature. And I remember there were a couple times they had a couple attractions closed, so I was using my ingenuity, and I would eliminate that part by pushing the stop button when we were getting to it on the soundtrack, and then I'd push one of the other buttons that was starting with a little bit of music, and I'd play the music, and then I know that's going to go into an audio. I'd push stop and press the music again so people would keep hearing the music because I was creating the atmosphere because I'm a professional. But Mickey's Birthdayland later, when the birthday was over, what are they going to do? They originally built it as a temporary attraction that was not going to be there beyond Birthdayland, but of course they're not going to do away with it once they built it, even though it was temporary in temporary buildings. They turned it into Mickey's Starland. So Starland was the predecessor, not pre, would have been the possessor of Birthdayland. Mickey Starland took over and took that. Now, I even hate to think of what they call it now. What is it now? Toontown? I mean, they've had so many different names for that area now, but, I don't have signs for everyone. But Birthdayland and Starland, those were the 2 important things, of course. And then the other 2 signs here is when they were beginning the Walt Disney MGM's Studios Park. And, of course, we have our MGM Studios sign from the lamppost there. And, of course, another one over here, which is celebrating the Earful Tower and Mickey, and that all has to do with the MGM Studios. Of course, they don't call it MGM Studios anymore. It's simply Hollywood Studios. But it's still a great park, as all the Disney parks are, and I still love them. And we're getting a glimpse over here. I don't know if we should even talk about this here, but you get a little glimpse of it. We'll talk about it next time, because this time we were talking about my lamp signs. We'll see you next time on the Main Street Randyland YouTube channel. Press the subscribe. Bye.